Good evening, everybody. This is going to be our second Cognos Analytics session, and my name is Yelena. I'm your Cognos Analytics administrator. So here is our agenda for tonight. We're going to discuss dashboards and infographics, adding visualizations and widgets. We'll talk about the relationships among visualizations. We'll talk about the filters, appearance properties, stories, group work, and more. All right, we have quite ambitious agenda again for tonight. Now, let's see here. All right, so I'm going to start sharing now Cognos Analytics. This is what you're going to do. Your assignment 4 is going to be a continuation of assignment 3. So first you're asked to put a screenshot of your data and briefly summarize all the filters that you have applied, right? So here it is. And as you may recall, we worked with claims and weather data module, and some of the filters we discussed at the last session, and some of the filters we watched in videos. So hopefully you had a chance to see the playlist with videos on calculations, videos on filtering, and more, right? So here it is. This is claims and weather data. And if you can see it over here, next slide, I just summarized what we did, right? We added the embedded filter to filter out the rows where effective due date is missing. So in other words, if effective due date is not missing, we want to keep that record. We added the selectable filter to allow filter data for policy type contains personal and vehicle type is small. So in other words, I can look at data where policy type is personal and vehicle size is small, right? This is a selectable filter that can be turned on and off. Then we also handled the missing values, missing income. If income is missing, we replaced it with average. We took the column average, right? And we did the same thing for monthly premium, right? So this is just a review, right? And then we have a total claim amount. What we did was we changed the aggregation type to average. It's because if I want to take analysis, if I want to visualize how the total claim amount is summarized, I'm interested to see the average, right? For instance, if I want to do perhaps per policy type average, I want to look at claim amount per policy type, I want to see an average. I don't want to see the sum, right? And we also created some data groups, right? Data groups is nothing but binning. See that? Then also in one of the videos, I talked about the calculations, right? And not just the calculation, I also talked about the standalone calculation, because when we create embedded calculation, it adds a new column, right? Like for example, in here, this is a new column, average claim amount per coverage. And also here, we have the standalone calculation, right? Which is a single value, average income, and it's not added as a separate column. All right, so this was just quick recap. What else did we do last time? Let me close this. Last time we looked at the data explorations, right? See here, data exploration, right? And you looked at a variety of things here. We did the decision tree, we did the bar chart, etc., right? But as you noticed, what we did last time, we could not change how visualizations appear. For example, here is a color blue. I cannot change the color. I cannot change the font. I cannot add any widgets such as text, right? Then in here, I have a bunch of cards. There is no way to find the relationships among them, right? I cannot select a data point in one card and make the same data point to be selected in another card. I cannot apply the filter to all of the visualizations at once, right? So there is no way to kind of like group visualization. So this discussion is going to lead to the dashboards, right? Dashboards is a way to present our findings, right? So that's what I did in the next slide. I put a nice summary. So we create dashboards to present findings about our data. We can add the appearance, right? And we can make an attractive layout, and the visualizations on the same tab, as long as they come from the same data source. This is important. If as long as they come from the same data source, we may apply the filter to all of them. If you select one data point in one visualization, the same data point will be selected in another visualizations, right? Unless I break that relationship. Now, you may add the text and widgets, and then it's also, you may reuse the visualization from Expression Workspace. And I'll show you how. And I also created a video on pins, right? We might toggle between a view mode and edit mode. Edit mode is when you can edit, and view is when your dashboard, so to speak, you preview it. You preview it, right, as a customer per se. Uh, Now, you may create one or more navigation paths, you may add calculations, but remember this, any calculations that you add to the dashboard will be available only for that dashboard. It won't be available anywhere else, such as in any other dashboards, any other explorations, it won't be available. So if you want your calculation to be available everywhere where you use the same data source, you have to add the calculation to the data module. Okay. Now, another similarity is that you may use the built-in assistant, right? That's another similarity. Okay, so now we're gonna get started with creating a new dashboard, right? And I also created a video where it shows more detailed discussion. Let's go ahead and close this out. There are multiple ways to create a new dashboard, but the way I usually do is I'm gonna go to my content, and I have the claims and weather data module. Now remember, I'm gonna use the data module because I want all of these calculations to be available for me. I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna select create dashboard. Now, few things to keep in mind. There are two types of dashboards. First one is a tab layout, and one is infographic. Well, tab layout, it means that you can put visualizations on multiple tabs. You can apply a filter to a single tab, or you can apply a filter to all tabs. Uh, Basically, you can split your data set, you split a visualization based on perhaps subtopic, right? And put each subtopic in a separate tab. Infographic, this is a single long page, and you can apply the filter to all visualizations, right? That's what it is. But for this assignment and for this demonstration, we're going to focus on the tab dashboard because, as I show you later tonight, the tab dashboard can be exported into a story, all right? And we'll talk about stories. Now here you've got different layout templates. The first one is a free-form layout. So visualizations here do not scale to the screen size, right? They just, wherever you put them, they just sit wherever they put them, sort of like custom. And these layouts, you may choose to make visualization feed into the panel. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that the more stuff you put on a tab, right, the longer the tab could take to load. So I prefer 2x2, right? Also, when you select 2x2 for the first tab, it does not mean that you have to stick with 2x2. You may use different layout on a next tab, right? So let's go ahead, let's select 2x2, and I'm gonna click on OK. This will take me to the new dashboard. And let's see what we have in here. Uh, Here I see my data modules that I used to create this dashboard. And in here, this is a list of columns in the data module, including the calculations that I may have created, right? This one is a selectable filter, personal policy for small vehicles that I can apply to individual visualizations. I have all those data groups. So in other words, anything that I created in the data module, any calculations are available here. Even this calculation, this is a standalone, right? So if I want to calculate perhaps like column average, something like that, I don't want to store it in every row. I better do it as a standalone. And there is a video on how to create standalone and how to create embedded calculations, right? So what else do you see in here? This is a data set, data source, right? Data module that I used for this dashboard. Now also here is a visualizations library that you can add. You might add just visualization from scratch just by drag and drop, right? To add visualization from scratch, you just take any visualizations that you want, and you would need to drag and drop here. Now, if you want the visualization to fit this panel, right, this slot, you need to hover your mouse over this arrow. That would make visualization fit into the slot. Now, here, this is called the visualization is in a focus mode. It means that I can specify what I want to visualize, right? And this is similar process to what you have seen before, right? So if you see the little asterisk, it means that the field is required. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to find my total claim amount, right? And I want to take the average total claim amount, but let's see. Let's find, I want to visualize the average total claim amount. It's in here, this is a lens, and a bar, I want to be, perhaps let's do policy type. Okay, this is a policy type, and this is average claim amount. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize that, right? What else I could do is, I could add my visualizations from what is pins. Pins is similar to favorites. So if there is a visualization that I want to be used in frequently, right? If there is a visualization that I want to use frequently, I probably want to add it as a pin, right? So you can add visualizations to pins when you are in your dashboard, right? When I'm in my dashboard, I can go here, see this, I selected the visualization, and I can just click on the pin, and this visualization will be added to my pins list, right? Similarly, I can reuse any visualizations from pins. So to do that, I just drag and drop visualization here, and it's here. This was one of the pinned visualizations that I saved earlier, right? You could also add visualizations through this friend over here. This is the assistant. We talked a lot about it, right? So if I don't remember the data set's name, I can just tap data. This is my claim and weather data module, right? So I can go, I can look at the, let's say, we looked at the policy type, right? Or, well, or we can look, see here, I click on more, and this will give me more fields, but I could do just anything. Like, for example, I can look at the employment status, right? Now, and I want to do employment status and total claim amount. So this is going to give me the visualization, and I can just take this and I can drag and drop, right? So this is another way I can add my visualizations, right? So this is a policy type. I've got the vehicle class, and also what I could do is the visualizations can be copied. So here, right, and I can duplicate this. So which is right here. I click here. This is a duplicate. Now I can move it here, right? And then I can take this in a focus mode. And suppose that instead of total claim amount, I'm going to remove this. And I want to see perhaps, let's do the premium, right? But again, the problem here is that I did not change the visualization. I did not change the summarize property. I want to look at the average, okay? Now I made this change, but this change will be applicable only to this visualization. If I want this, if I want to take always, if I want to always look at average, I would have to change it in the data module. But anyhow, I'm just showing you what I can do here, okay? So here it is. Now I need to save it. Always save your work. And for right now, I'm just saving it into my content. I'm just gonna say claims and weather dashboard. Now I'm going to show you something here. I keep the here employment status on both visualizations for a reason. And the reason is this, look. I'm going to select employed in one visualization. Look at this. When I select the data point in one visualization, the same data point is going to be selected in all visualizations on the same tab. It's because my visualizations on the same tab are linked if the same data source was used to create them. In this case, it's yes, I use the same data module to create the visualization. So if I highlight this data point here, the same data point will be selected in all visualizations on the tab. I can break this relationship. I click here. So see this, it tells me that this all 4 widgets are linked into one group. To break the relationship, I click on visualization and I'm going to select break this link. So now you see that when I select something in here, when I select, oh, first I need to turn this off. Okay, now look, when I select a different data point in the first visualization, my second visualization no longer adjusted because I chose to break the link, right? You can break the link. And you could also do this. I could say, okay, now I have a group 1, group 2. I can take this visualization and I can change my link. See this? I can add, I can make it connected to the second one, and etc. Right? You can do that. Now, suppose that I don't like what I'm doing, I can do this. I can add to existing connection, right? And I want to reconnect everything back. I want to undo what I was just doing. See this? And I'm gonna do add to existing and 1. I just showed you that all visualizations on the same tab are connected. You may select one data point in one visualization, and the same data point will be selected in other visualizations, which is very convenient, right? Now I'm gonna unselect this. Okay, now we talked about this. Another thing is that, especially if you're taking screenshots, this area could be collapsed and expanded. And this is where you see the filters. We'll talk about filters. The dashboard can be in edit mode or view mode. So to put it in a view mode, Jesus, now it's in the view mode. I cannot edit it, but I can interact with this. And then you click on the pencil, that will take you back to the edit mode. Now remember to save the work. If you see little asterisk next to the dashboard name, it means that your last change has not been saved. Okay, your last change has not been saved. Now we're going to look at the filters, but before we do that, I need to add another tab in here. Okay, and I'm going to keep the same layout. And we need to add some visualizations to our second tab. And I prefer adding them from the pins, right? So you might be wondering where I got those pins. This is the exploration workbook, and I added my visualizations in the exploration workbook to the pins, right? So it's here, and I can just go in and keep on drag and drop, right? So this is the vehicle class scissors. I got my vehicle class in here. Now I can add more, right? Well, because I wanted to, let's add this to policy type. Policy type, there we go. So now I have 2 tabs, right? And I have about 4 visualizations on each tab. Let's go ahead and save that. And we're gonna talk about the filters. So there are 2 types of filters. One filter can be applied to the all tabs, and another filter can be applied only to single tab, right? So right now I'm on the first tab, and let's suppose that I want to filter everything by policy type, right? So what I need to do, I go here and I need to find my policy type. Now, let's think about it. What do I want to do first? I want to filter all tabs, right? So I'm going to drop this in here, policy type. Now I want to select to show only the corporate, and I'm going to click on OK. Now, what you see is that all visualizations got adjusted to show only corporate policy type. When I go to my tab number 2, I see the same adjustments were made in here, right? Because I applied the filter to both tabs, right? Now what I'll do is this. I'm gonna go back and I'm going to delete this filter. And instead, I'm gonna put policy type in here, this tab only. And I'm gonna select corporate, click OK. Now take a look at what happened. I applied the filter to this tab, first tab, right? It's filtered. However, the second tab is not. It's because I applied the filter to only one tab. You see this? That's the difference. And see, the filter doesn't even show here because I put it on this tab only, right? So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna remove this right now. All right, so what else you can do? Well, each tab has a property. I'm going to select the tabs here, right? Look, you can edit the title, right? You can edit, like, for example, I want to rename it as scene 1. Well, right, I can rename it. Then what else you can do is you could make a copy of the tab, right? If you want another tab to look similar to what this tab is, and maybe just tweak some visualization, you can duplicate it, right? You may also change the template. If you no longer like 2 by 2, you may always change the template, okay? Now, what else you could do is you can look at the properties, of course. The properties that are available depends on what you have selected, okay? I'm going to pause the slides. Oh yes, absolutely. This is what I'm going to do, guys. After this presentation is over, you're gonna have, I'm gonna send the slides to your instructor, and your instructor will post the visualization, oh, I mean, the recording, sorry, and the slides, okay? This is as usually, this is what will happen. Okay, now let's take a look at these properties. The properties are different depending on what you are looking at. Now I'm looking at the properties of my dashboard as a whole, right? So I can change the height and the width of the page. I can specify if I want to see the grid or not. I can change the color code, right? Right now I chose no color. I can change how my tabs look like. For example, I could go ahead and change the tab title color, and I can change the tab selection indicator, right? So the selected tab is showing as green. I can go ahead and look at the advanced. Well, that's it. I guess it's good enough, right? So I'll let you play around with these properties. I'm gonna click on save. Now, and also each visualization has its own properties. Like, for example, if I go back to scene 1, this is a good one to show. This visualization, there's specific property to the chart, and I decided to show labels, I decided to show percentages, and then I decided to show this visualization as a donut, okay? You can adjust it in here. That was my decision, and I could always change the palette and etc. So available properties depend on what you are looking at, okay? It depends on what you're looking at. Different visualizations properties could be slightly different. And then also, if you look at the videos, I'm showing you that I put this visualization in the pins, then I try to reuse that pin in the exploration. And what's going to happen is that the properties will be lost. So if I was going to pin this visualization and reuse it in my exploration workbook, I'm going to lose the visualization properties. I'm going to lose the appearance properties. So you may reuse the pins, right, between different file types, but depending on where you're using the visualization, you may lose properties, okay? Oh, thank you, Kate, yes. The instructor will provide the slides, yes, yes, yes. And also there are a couple videos that were created. There is video on adding widgets, the details on how to add links to the image and different properties. Then there is also a video on how to create dashboard. There is video on how to save dashboard as a story. There is video on customizing the stories, like what you could do, such as a timeline, etc. Right? And there is also video on accessing group files. Okay, so I've been working on creating videos, and if there is something that you would like to see, if it can be done, I'll create it. So don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, now, so this is the first tab, right? This is the second tab. I can rename the tabs. I can specify the properties. So basically, most of what you can do in here, right? Remember what you can do in here, because what you'll be able to do in the stories is somewhat similar, but more. Okay. Now here you could also change. You can change the title, right? Here is more appearance stuff. You can change the thesis whether you want to show title or not. I chose to show. You can add border if you like, right? Or you can do the fill color. You can change the fill color if you want. Well, but one thing to keep in mind is readability. I don't want to do something like this because this is hard to read, right? So I want to keep in mind that my visualizations must be readable. So whatever color I choose, for example, I probably want to do the light background and dark visualization, something like that, right? You want it to be readable. Okay, something I would like you to keep in mind. All right. So we looked at the main dashboard properties. I'm gonna hit save. Now, what I did for you here, I created another dashboard which has more stuff in it, and I saved it in my content. I put it in a demo, and I created uh, the big dashboard, which is, I'm gonna find it now in a few. Uh, and I'm gonna use the dashboard to create a story. See this? So I believe I called this. Let's take a look at this. This is a dashboard. Let me open this up. Yes. Well, okay. So this is a dashboard that I created for you. Let's take a look at what we have right now. The dashboard is in view mode, right? Let's quickly switch to the edit mode. Now, what is this? This is an image, right? So how did I add an image? I went to this widgets in here, widgets, right? And this is an image. I just drag and drop this, and then I specify the URL. Because if I double click on this, right, if I click, I can look at the properties. I can look at the properties of this. See this? It's just the URL. You cannot copy and paste the image. You cannot copy and paste the image to your dashboard. You have to specify the URL, okay? Just remember this. What is this? At the top, this is just the plain text. This is just the text. And you can also change, well, you can adjust the appearance. Look, if I highlighted the text, I see this little toolbar, right? I can change the font. I can change the indentation, right? Here are my properties such as color, etc. And alternatively, I can change the properties here in the text details. So that's the first step, right? And I intentionally called it as a scene 1, scene 2. Let's say I want to create 2 dashboards. After saving dashboard 1, I want to create dashboard 2. Yes, I'm reading the question. So the question is, let's say I want to create 2 dashboards. After saving dashboard 1, I want to create dashboard 2 by making some changes on some of the variables I already used in dashboard 1. Does a change affect dashboard 1? Okay, guys, look, this is a question. So I have two dashboards, right? And I'm making changes to the second dashboard. If the changes that I make is at the dashboard level, there should be no impact on the first dashboard. If the change I make is at the dashboard level, there is no impact. However, if I change something in the data module, there is an impact on all dashboards, all stories that use that data module, okay? So I need to be careful if I decide to delete a column from data module perhaps, right? I'm going to lose something that I have in all dashboards. Wherever I use that column, right, and visualizations, I'm gonna see errors. So so you want to be a little bit careful with what you're doing. But yes, the dashboard one is independent from dashboard two because you're not creating it from dashboard two, right? Okay, cool. I'm glad that it may. No, but it's an excellent questions. I like the questions. Okay, now, so this is the first tab. This is my second tab. I just added the visualizations as a decision tree. And remember that, I hope you watched the video on the trees and the sunburst, right? So here mostly it visualizing the rules. And this is a fraction of data to which the rule applies, right? And this is a third scene, okay? And this fourth scene and a fifth scene. So there are 5 scenes. So now what I'm going to show you is that I will take this dashboard and I'm going to save it as a story. Well, because, well, dashboards are nice, right? You can interact with them, etc. But the minus side is that there is no way to develop the transitions between the tabs, right? I cannot do it such as I want to see the first tab for 5 minutes, then I want to see the second tab for 2 minutes. Then I cannot control in which order the tab elements appear. So when I open up the tab, I see all 4 visualizations, right? I cannot do something like, okay, I want to look at this for the first 5 seconds. I want to look at the second one for the next 10 seconds. There is no way to do that in here, right? So in the slides, I created a nice summary, yes? And here I just spelled out what we talked about, the differences between different layout, right? So basically what happens is that as I was exploring the stuff myself, I took notes. Then I just let students have the notes. That's what basically it is. So those are the top properties, right? So we talked about this. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm doing the stories. But see here, this just details you. It's a breakdown of the pie chart properties, right? You're gonna have this slide. Okay. Well, here it just showing you some properties of the text, but I also created a video with more details on how to add text, how to add images, and how to also I did how to add links to the web page and links to the video. Okay, so all these 4 widgets that you see here, they're discussed in another video in details. All right. So here, this is just showing you how to add an image, but I also have a video. It's very, very detailed information. Well, this just shows you the links between visualizations on the same tab. Right, so now we got to the story. Well, depending on what layout you select, depending on what type you select, the story could be something similar to the animated PowerPoint presentation with numerous visualizations. Another way to call stories, this is like an overtime narrative, right? You are presenting insights about your findings. You might configure when you see or not see certain objects. You may also add images, right, and etc. Now, there are many ways to create the story. You can select it from you can create it from scratch, right? Or what I'm going to show you now is how to save your dashboard as a story. Okay, I'll show you. This is a shortcut that you're going to take in assignment 4, right? Well, and we'll talk about the different transition templates, but this is what you're going to do. I want you to make sure that your dashboard is done. Your dashboard must be done. The reason is once you save the dashboard as a story, any changes that you make to your dashboard will no longer be applied to the story. Okay? So you want to make sure that you're done before you do this. Okay? So this is the steps that you're going to take. First of all, I want to make sure that my dashboard is saved, which it is. I don't see little asterisk here. What I'll go in here, see there is a third option that you have not seen. Well, you may have seen, well, you have not because you have not worked with dashboards, but anyhow, I'm gonna do create, save it as a story. Now, I need to select the template. And what I did was, over here, I spelled out the differences whether you have each scene on a different canvas or all scenes are on the same canvas. And regardless of this layout, you may customize the slide layout, right? You may apply the filters, you may add animations, and etc. Right? Okay, so let's go back here. I'm going to select the slideshow for right now. Okay, I'm gonna do select. What will happen here is that now I need to save it, and I'm gonna go ahead and save it. In my content, I created a folder called demos. This is where I was saving the stuff that you saw in videos, right? So let's do this. Let me rename it like this, okay? Because I can have only one story with the same name. But by default, it's gonna take your dashboard name and it's gonna add prefix story. Now, here I want to open my story after I save it. So I'm gonna hit save in here. Okay. Well, this is my story, and as you see, the story consists of the scenes. Each tab in my dashboard is gonna be what, a scene right now, right? So what I had, what, five tabs. Now I've got my 5 scenes, right? I mean 5 scenes in here. A scene is just well, what what was the top in the dashboard is a scene here. So basically, if you preview this, you're gonna play one scene at a time. Now here, I want to select this option to be able to play all scenes. And to play all scenes, you need to be in a view mode, right? So I'm gonna click here to be in a view mode. And see, this is the first scene. And I'm just gonna go play. Do you see this? Nothing really happens. Why? I don't see anything happened. It's because I did not specify it, right? I see each scene plays by 5 minutes, 5 seconds, sorry, and everything is visible at all times, right? Well, it's because I have not configured anything, and I'm about to change things. Now, let's go ahead. Let's make it to the edit mode and save changes as always. I'm going to look at the second scene where I've got 4 things going on, right? Now here, if you minimize this, you're gonna see what you have here. I have 4 visualizations, right? I can set up when each visualization is gonna be visible and when it's gonna be not visible, right? So look, I click on this arrow. This will open the scene timeline. This scene has 4 objects, right? Over here, it tells me when the object becomes visible. And here, right, this is basically the duration of the scene because see this ends at 5 seconds. Now, suppose that I want my second visualization. And look, if you don't know which one is first, which one is second, when you select this, right, when you select this, the visualization will be selected accordingly. So this, right, I can just select this and see, for example, suppose that I want this sunburst chart to show only after 3 seconds. Watch what I do. I take this handle and I'm going to drag it here. Okay, it means that I won't see it, right? Now you notice that you no longer see it here. Well, it's because you don't want to see this on when you start play. When you hit play, you don't want to see it. So that's why while you're editing, you're not gonna see it here. So that's something to keep in mind, because you're gonna say, hey, where is it? I did not delete it. Well, it's because you don't want to see it on the first second. That's why it no longer shows here. Now, here, well, I could do that, right? Then what else I could do? By default, it's 5 seconds, but if I take this handle, if I drag in here, my scene is going to be longer than 5 seconds, right? So this is how I do it. To make the scene last longer than 5 seconds, you just drag and drag these things here, okay? Now I'm going to save, and I'm going to minimize this, and I'm gonna go back to the edit mode, view mode, sorry. Okay, now let's go back to the previous scene. Right, I'm here. Let's see what's gonna happen. This is playing this now. Watch. I don't see a couple things. I don't see this. Now I see this. Don't see that. What happened? It's because it's doing what I specified it to do, right? I said when I want the visualizations to be seen, when I don't want the visualization to be seen. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the edit mode. You can always change the properties of specific visualization, right? Like this. These are those other available properties. You can change the text. You can change the summarization, because this one shows overall average claim amount, I think. Now, what else you could do is you could add something similar to what we did 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. You may apply the filter to a single stin, or you may apply the filter to all stins. Well, the only difference between what we did was the tab, right? If you want to, you can always add a new stin. Like now I have 5 stins. I want to add stin 6, and then I can pick the layout I want to. Right, when it added the stin at the end, then I can just add my visualizations here, right? Image, text, or chart. Well, I select the chart, and I could try to add from my, I could try adding pins, or here I can just specify the chart type, right? Visualization type, and I can add my fields. Like, look at this. If I look here, what is this? This is my data module, right? And those are the fields, right? This is similar to what I saw when I was in a exploration and when I was in the data module, right? That's the same data set. Let's minimize this. So you could add visualizations. You could also use this assistant. You could use your pins, right? So this is my pin. I can go ahead and drag and drop, and it will add here. Oops. So, well, you have to be careful here. If it's throwing you an error, then, oh, okay. It's because I may have used a different data set to create this visualization. I may have used a different data module to create this visualization. So you cannot reuse your pins if you're using a different data module. Okay, you must be using the same data module if you want to reuse the pins. Okay, this one works because, see, the thing is, in order to use the pins, the assumption is that you're using the same data source, okay? If you did not use the same data source, then you cannot reuse the pin. This is an assumption, okay? Now, and you could also see the visualized data. See this? This shows you the visualized data in a scene. Close this, and you close this. Toggle here to the scenes, right? Okay, and you can edit the properties of a scene, such as you can rename this. See this? You can click here and let's say let's just rename it scene 6, right? This is scene 6, click OK. All right, now what else you can do is, we're gonna look at the properties of this as a whole, and I'm gonna go properties here, my properties, right? Here, I selected the story type as a slideshow, but I did not select the scene transition. Let's go ahead and select the animated path. Let's click on save, and we're going to do the view mode, right? Go back to the first scene, and we're gonna see, let's preview, see what's gonna happen. See what's gonna happen right now. Okay, well, because that's what I specified it to happen, right? Animated path. What else I could do? Let's edit this. I'm gonna click on edit, and I'll go back to my properties, and I can do the sweep, and I'm gonna click save, and I can do the again, switch to the preview mode, and I can do the go back to the first scene, right? And then click play. Let's see what happens. You see the transition is gonna be it's gonna be different now. Do you see this? This is what I specified. I want to transition like this in between my scenes. Okay? So this is what you do with this layout. Now suppose that I'm not happy with the template that I selected. Well, this is what you could do. You go to this properties here, and you can select the guided journey. And for guided journey, you don't have, oh, you still have the transition here. And you could also do the layout. I want to choose this layout perhaps, right? So this is going to be my layout as a guided journey. I'm going to minimize this. Well, and then if I close this, and if I go here, close this, well, you can see this, see, but let's take a look at this. So here, if I select this, what is this? This is basically, if I click here, if I click over here, I can see all my scenes. This is what you could do for your assignment, to take a screenshot, because you have to show that you created the story, right? So this is a screenshot like this you could put in your assignment, right? Well, again, this is what I did was I selected this slide, this one. This is an overview. See this? This is a scene 1, scene 2, etc. But you also have another slide, another here. This is the overview, and you have another overview at the end. Okay. So basically, you can. This is one way to submit a screenshot. You click here, and here it is. And then you want to little bit play around, little bit with zoom, right, to make it more readable. Well, this is something to play around with. But you also, if you close the properties, if you close this stuff here, you get a bigger area to work with. And then you can try to do the full screen, right? You can try full screen, then you can see more. And then to exit the screen, full screen, it's an escape key, okay? Now, so I'm going to save again. And if I don't like this, I can go back to my properties and I can select different layout. This is another good one, right? Then if I'm submitting my assignment, I would probably gonna select this, right? I'm gonna select this one, and then I'm gonna minimize this, and I'm gonna take this screenshot. Well, this is the one way to show that you have a story. You want to show this, right? Okay. I hope this addresses some of you probably sort of like kind of have this question in your head now, and I proactively answered it. This is one way to take a screenshot to show that you have a story. Okay. And then again, you've got those properties, and the properties tells you what transitions you have selected. Okay. So see this? You can basically also show the properties that you selected. Then it's a proof that you are creating the story. So you're not taking a screenshot of the dashboard. This is the story. Okay, got it? I hope you did. Now, alternative way to create story is this. I could go to the welcome page and I could do here a new story. Well, if I do that, well, I can still select my transition style when I click on create, but the problem here is that I don't see anything. So what I need to do is I have to specify the data source. That's the first thing. So I'm going to click on select source, and I'm going to do, this is in the my content, claims and weather data module. I'm going to click add. Well, I have to do it before I can do anything. Then I'm going to be creating one scene at a time. I'll be creating one scene at a time, like adding visualization, adding text, etc. Okay? So this is how you would do it from scratch. But I strongly recommend for assignment 4 that you create a dashboard first and then save the dashboard as a story. Then you're going to add the transitions and etc. Okay? And you are asked to discuss the advantages of the stories over dashboard. Secretly, most of your assignment questions are discussed in this presentation. The only thing that I don't do is this. I don't say, hey, this is the answer to question number 1. This is the answer to question number 5. I don't say this, but I discuss the material. So secretly behind the scene, all of your questions, most of the questions are one way or another covered. You just need to apply the questions to your data that you're analyzing. And for the data assignment 4, you need to stay with the same data that you use for assignment 3. Remember that assignment 4 is a continuation of 3. You're using the same data, right? So more likely you're going to be taking your visualization from last assignment, adding a few more, and creating the nice, beautiful dashboard and then a story, right? It should be easy on paper. Now, I don't want to save any changes. I'm going to close without saving for right now. And we have to talk about some fun stuff, but so this is about the stories, right? I talked about it. As I mentioned, I usually don't go with the slides. Well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but mainly don't be scared about the number of slides because what I did was, as I was looking into this myself, I was taking notes and I'm letting you have a copy of my notes. Look at it this way, basically. Now, uh, what you want to do, there are some sample dashboards that you can look at. It's not something that you're going to submit, but if you go here to the team content, right? And if you see this, here are the samples, and you've got some of the dashboards, and you can actually open this and you can view it. You cannot modify it, but you can view it because what's happening is that you have a run permission on the samples folder. Run permission allows you to see the content, and it also allows you to interact with dashboards, but you cannot make any changes. If you want to be able to edit this, you would have to save it as a copy to your content area, okay? Just telling you. But, well, you cannot submit this for grading, but sometimes when you're working on your dashboard, you might be wondering, what can I do? And it gives you some ideas in general on what you can do, right? Here it is, right? It's just giving you some ideas. I'm going to close this. And also there are some simple stories. If you'd like to, well, if you'd like to check them, this is a that's in here. This is an option. Okay, you have it available for you. Okay, and the stories. Ignore reports. We're not doing reports, but you can see there are like 3 stories. Okay. Now again, you're not going to submit this, but it's good idea sometimes to look at the samples. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the fun stuff, but not at the expense of doing the work. That's what I call this. Fun, but not at the expense of still doing the work. Now, this is an excellent opportunity. Last assignment, you're gonna be working in the groups. And let's say this is what's gonna happen. Some point at the end of week 9, your instructor will put you in groups, and I'm gonna get the group assignment. I will create the Cognos Analytics team folders based on your assignments when based on your group in Leo, okay? So if you are a member of team 1, then you're going to be a member of team 1 here also. Well, what this is what you're gonna do here. So let me show you first. There are several data set to choose from. So you're gonna use different data. Remember this data for assignments? Now, well, when the time comes, you're gonna look at this assignment 5. You have 5 data sets. You need to choose only one as a team. If you want a little bit of challenge, US news data, where you predict the college graduation rate, right? That one has missing values. Life expectancy data also has missing values. So if you want to challenge yourself, okay? And the other ones are a little bit more straightforward. They're not easy, but not as complex as, well, these two are interesting. And to be quite honest, I would recommend, if you want to practice with missing values, I would recommend either of these two, okay? But you can choose any. You're gonna like all of them. They all have insightful data, and I tested all of these data sets before making them as part of the assignment, if you will. Okay, now this is the approach you're gonna do. This is a team decision. As a team, you're gonna select the data set, but the approach I'm suggesting is this: each team you're gonna designate the team leader. Okay, each team is gonna have the team leader, and the team leader will take the data set and will copy it to the team folder, and I'll show you how to access the folder. The team leader will copy the data from that folder to your team folder, okay? The team leader will create a data module as well, because you need to work from the same copy of the data, okay? Important, you must work from the same copy of the data. But before we do that, let's talk about how you access the team folder. I'm showing it to you now, and also there is a video on accessing the team folder as well. So far, well, you mostly worked at the My Content area. This is going to be the team content. As soon as you're added to the study group, you're gonna see this new folder. This is called Assignment 5 Group Work. This is a new folder. Assignment 5 Group Work. You're gonna click on this. Now, let's assume that I'm taking session 9080 in the spring, and I'm a member of group 1. Let's just make an assumption, okay? Now, look, I'm gonna click here. This folder, subfolder, is a semester when you take in the class. So you're taking the class in the spring 2021. You're gonna click here. If you're a member of team 1, and this is a session, remember the session number, it appears on the top in Leo. When you look in the Leo classroom, at the very top, you see the session number, okay? So if you are in session 1980, and if you're a member of team 1, you should see this folder. If you are a member of team 1, you should not see the folder for team 2. If you're a member of session 1980, you should not see the folder for another team in session 1981. If you do, then you need to submit the case, and it will be taken care of as a high priority, okay? Now, everyone in the team has the same privileges, okay? And you have a right privilege for the folder. Whatever is inside the folder, you have a right privilege. It means that you may edit files, you may save files in here, okay? Making changes to the files, right? Now what I'll do is I'm going to show you how to save. I'm going to pretend that I'm a team leader, and let's show you how to save the copy of the file into your group folder. So here it is. This is my data for assignments. This is assignment 5. And let's just assume that my team decided to work on a cars data. So what I'll do is I'm going to click here, right? And you want to select this, copy or move. Remember, you cannot move, but you can copy. You cannot move because you don't have write privileges on this folder, right? Secretly, to move the file, you are deleting the file from the source, right? So that's why you cannot move it. You can make a copy, of course. Now, go here. Then what you're gonna do is you put it in the team content. But look, here, this is my content. This is the team content. Now, here, this is a path of where I'm currently in. You need to go back to the team content. This is gonna be assignment 5, group work, sprint, and this is my team. And this is where I'm going to save. Now, I cannot select move to, I have to select copy to, of course, right? Let's see where my file is. Let me go back. Here it is, group work. I'm going to find my team folder. This is a file. So I'm gonna still play a role of the team leader. I'll do this. I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna do create data module, right? And I'm going to save this as cars data module. Now I want to save it in the team content, right? And I want to save it. You need to select the folder because see this button is grayed out because you cannot save it to the root folder, right? You cannot save to the root folder. What you have to go in here, assignment 5 group work, and you need to find your team folder. Well, the user that I'm using right now, it temporarily has the same privileges that you would. If you're a member of this team, right, you're gonna have the same privileges as this user I'm using now to do the demo, okay? And you're gonna save it as perhaps cars data module. And I'm gonna give you a few tips on what not to do in a second. Okay, here it is. Everybody in the team wants to work from this copy of the data because let's assume that Kate is in the same group as me. If I create my visualizations from the file that is saved on a team on my content folder, right? And then I try to put the exploration or perhaps dashboard into the shared team folder, I'm still okay. I will be able to see visualization. However, because Kate, my team member, does not have access to the file data source stored in my folder, when she tries to open the dashboard, right, she's gonna get an error. She will not be able to see visualizations. And I think for you, somewhere, I included the screenshot of an error message that you might get. Yeah. Well, this is something like this. So this is an issue. You could see something like this or no access. Okay, those are possible errors that you may get, and this is also the error you're gonna get if your teammate deleted the data source. If you delete the data source, then everything that you used to create from that data will be invalid. And please, please, I don't want this to be you on the last day of class. Trust me, we had a team before where on a weekend, well, at that time, well, now assignments are due on Tuesday, but at that time they were due on weekends. So on that weekend, a team member deletes the data by accident. There is no way to restore. No way, guys. Trust me, there is no way. Even if I try to import another copy, right? Save another copy of the same name, I cannot because your dashboard is associated with a unique number. Each data module here, everything has a unique number. It's not about the name, but it's about the number. The dashboard that I create is associated with this number. See this? This is the data module, for example, right? And if I click on the data module properties, each data module has a unique number. Well, see this? This is a data module ID. So any exploration that I create is associated with this ID. As soon as this data module is deleted, everything that I created from it becomes invalid. So I want you guys to be really careful with deletions because there is no way to undo, right? And that's it. Everything that you created from it will be corrupted. So this is something to be careful about. Another warning that I need to tell you is this. Cognos Analytics allows us to share files. Okay, so it means that you have a team folder, you can edit the same file, your classmates can edit the same file. But here is the thing, you cannot edit the same file at the same time. Okay, only one person may edit the file at the same time. Before you exit your session, very important, you want to close everything that you have open, because if you have still have the file open, you're holding the lock on it. See, you could create problems when your group member tries to edit it. So before you exit the session, you're gonna click here on a drop down, and this will tell you everything that you have open. If you see the little asterisk to the files that you have opened, it means you did not save the latest change. So please do everyone a favor, get into a habit of saving all latest changes and closing all files that you had open before you exit for the session. Please do this. If you do that, then it's gonna save you a lot of trouble, okay? We do not want that little guy in the picture to be you, okay? So please, and okay, and also just as a backup, you want to save screenshots as you go. But again, take caution, try not to delete because then, you've got the dependencies, remember that. So if you do delete, then your pins will be invalid, all the explorations, all the stories, and etc. They will become invalid. That's how it is. Those dependencies must be taken seriously, okay? And there is no way to replace it, even if you put another file with the same name. No, because the association is between data ID. See this? It's associated with data ID, and I showed you, right? So next thing is, well, I want to make sure that I gave you the warning, right? Oh, and this one, this is a bonus. This is a advanced calculation case statement, and I also have a video on how to define the case statement. It was requested by somebody in a session 9040 or 9041, something like that. So guys, do not feel shy. You can make requests too. Well, if you want to see change in the properties of some visualizations, perhaps, right? Well, you can request it, and within the next few days, the video will be done. I love doing it, so please don't feel shy, right? And you already have a link to the playlist, right? So you want to watch the videos on adding the dashboard. Please watch the video on adding widgets to the dashboard. Watch the video on pins, and then you want to watch a couple videos on stories. And then when the time comes, please watch the video on working in a group, right? So I'm going to start taking questions now. Please think about some questions. Since now you had an opportunity to work with Cognos application, I wonder if you have some of the questions. And let me see if I edit this link to the slides. I have not edited, but the instructor previously posted the link to the YouTube. There is a playlist, right, that I created for you. And I can go in, and if I go here, if I go to YouTube, and this is this is here. I'm gonna go to this my channel, and I manage this channel. Now here, this is a playlist, and if you see, well, this is a playlist, Cognos Analytics how to videos, right? Well, see this? So I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna stop this. Okay, so this is a playlist that I'm talking about, and I believe you were given the link to this playlist. Okay, this is a link here, and I believe it was posted in the classroom. So let me show you this video in here. This is for this assignment. Well, I tried to put them in a sequence. So this one is a team folder. Then you've got couple videos on stories and couple videos on dashboard. If you want to see 3 videos on dashboard, if you want to see something that's no longer is not in here yet, please let me know. I'm taking request and I'll be more than happy to take care of it if this functionality can be done. Okay. And the calculations is also recent video where I showed you the examples of 2 calculations. Remember, embedded at the new column and standalone calculation, it's a single value. Like if I want to store column average, I don't need to add this value for every row. It becomes important as your data set grows, right? Because well, the larger the data, the bigger the storage, right? So you want to save the storage too, right? If it's a single value, we don't want to store it in every row, okay? So, yeah, and since I manage this channel, I could just, yeah, but you need the link. You have a link in the classroom, hopefully, okay? And I'm gonna remind the link to your professors again, okay? Now, guys, please, I would like to see questions because this is an opportunity to interact with Cognos administrator, okay? I'll be setting up your teams in Cognos. And again, each team member is going to have the same permissions. So if you are unable to save the file into team folder, then everyone in the team is in the same boat, right? I'll have to fix the team permissions, right? Something like that. So guys, please questions. And instructors, you can ask questions also. If there's anything you think that should be covered and I may have missed, or if there's anything that you may have noticed in your session that the students could benefit from clarification?
I mean, you covered a lot, and I think that once the students get practicing and experimenting with the dashboards and the stories, I think that, you know, that's usually when more questions come out, is when you go to
Yes.
actually try it.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. It's understood. Yes. And by the way, guys, Kate was an top student in this program. She's one of the graduates, and she was excellent. She was the best from the best students in class. So she was my student at some point when she was taking her master's degree, but she has a PhD now. So she's way ahead of me right now. But anyway, no, but I try to give you credit, Kate.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And the book that you wrote is just amazing, teaching data analytics.
Yep.
I'm just impressed. It's just impressive. So anyway, yep. So guys, you have a teacher who sets up an excellent example. She's excellent, and she's one of the graduates of this program. And she was a top student. She was the best from the best. So you're in good hands, guys. Okay. If you're in session 1981, yeah. And all instructors are excellent in this program, but the thing is, Kate was my student before, a long time ago. So, and also, I mean, she can tell you, if you're interested, she can tell you about the books that she wrote. Okay. Anything else, Kate?
I don't think so. You went over how they're gonna share their assignment 4 with me.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Assignment 5. You're gonna have to record the video.
Yes, 5. Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a video.
Yes. And there are instructions. I believe there are instructions in the classroom because you are allowed to have a free Zoom account. Well, yeah, the limit is 40 minutes on a session length, but that's way enough. Your video should be like 10 to 15 minutes. And we actually got that idea from the long time ago. We participated in the competitions where they did the paper and presentation. because, well, that's how it is in a work environment too. You need to be able to present your finding. So this is a nice opportunity to do the actual presentation in addition to paper. You're going to talk about your story. All right. So this is fun, but you want to make sure that you start early, right? Because waiting until the last minute is not good, right?
Not at all. Doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That was a situation in Data 650 this semester, actually. People waited until the last minute, and I mean, the scenario we had is something that you don't want to be in, and something you don't want to hear about. It's something you don't want to know about. So I'm just maybe not gonna say. But what I'll tell you is that you start early. Trust me. If you start early, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. You're halfway through the semester, right? More than halfway.
Yeah, more than halfway.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because other sessions are done yesterday.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a thing. The plus side that you have less people now using Leo, right? But yesterday the assignment folder was, well, when everybody submits in the last minute, right? You had something due, and then some sessions were over. So everybody tries to submit everything in the same on the last minute. This can cause some unexpected results. But anyway, if you're gonna promise me, promise everybody that you're gonna start working on this on time, right? Mean gonna in the group, everybody needs to equally contribute because I know how it is. Sometimes some people do all the work, some people don't respond, etc. This is a no-go, right? Because you want to think about the work environment, how you're gonna be working in teams, and sometimes you be part of more than one team, right? If you're multiple projects. So it's just a nice opportunity for you to practice, right? Practice working in groups. All right. So, Kate, no more questions?
No, thank you so much for doing this for the classes and the sections this semester. I really appreciate it.
Sure. So now what I'll do is I'm gonna end the recording and I'm gonna send you the recording and I'm gonna remind you the link to the videos and I'm also gonna give you the slides, okay? Thank you guys and I want to thank everybody for attending or for watching the recording. All right, stop.